Ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, let's see, should we start?
Yeah.
It's noon somewhere. Okay, welcome to the tree board meeting, February 21st. Hope everybody's doing well. Victor, would you like to call roll?
Yes, we do that. Carol Winter,
Here.
Kathleen Leo,
Here.
Anna Mulder,
Here.
Bob Toma.
Here.
Tom Grant.
Here.
And Henry Crizel.
Here.
We have everyone here.
You have a quorum.
Also,
Good, and first item, approval of the minutes from January. Anybody have any comments or corrections?
No, but I'm really sorry, but I cannot find your pen. Does anyone
I
have
do.
any idea right
Winter
when
Bond.
I should have done this before we started?
Okay.
I was busy chatting. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Let's see, board communications. Do we have anything this month, Victor?
From a administrative perspective, probably won't be here at the March meeting. I'll have someone fill in. My baby is due in 3-4 weeks, so I'm gonna be not here for a couple weeks, so.
So exciting.
Yeah, and that is also the time around spring break, so if everyone still planning to be here? So Carol,
I will not. I don't
Henry,
think. I will not be here.
you won't be here either? So if Dana, Kathy, and Bob can you come at can you make the March 21st meeting? Yes.
As far as I know, yep,
I looked a little early.
okay.
I just wanted to, first of all, apologize to you guys for missing 2 meetings and tell you what goes on. I work at Irish. And I never know until that morning whether somebody is gonna say, why don't you run down to Traverse City? Or why don't you go down to Charlevoix and blah, blah, and I'm stuck, so I have.
Technically, you've only missed 1 meeting because your term started in January, not December, so. But yes.
That's why occasionally,
Well, thanks.
I'll
It's
just disappear, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
All right, well, it looks like you'll still have 3 for this meeting, so if anything changes, please email me, Bob, Kathy, or Dana.
yes.
So we know.
You're here,
Yeah,
Bob, are you here for March 21st meeting? Okay.
yeah.
If anything changes, just let me know, but
We'll plan on
we'll
it
plan
for
on it.
now, yep. Okay,
Public comment.
let's, public comment. Do we have anybody? Oh, nobody. That was a trick question.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, new business, so, after discussion, with a couple of council members, I'm thinking it's better if I don't chair 2 boards, so, Carol has so kindly agreed to step forward and chair the tree board for us this year. And so, let's see, I guess we would go through what we did last month.
Would you be willing to serve as vice chair?
I would unless somebody else wants to. Yep. So let's first
We need a
nominate,
motion to-
motion, I'll make a motion to nominate, Carol Winter for chair of the tree board for 2025. Second,
I'll second that.
any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Carol, take over now.
Yeah.
The vice chair.
Okay, then, let's see, then we need a new vice chair. Would anybody else be interested? I would do it if not.
You're welcome.
Okay,
You can do it.
all right.
Motion.
Do we have a motion? You wanna make the motion, Tom?
So moved.
Okay. Good. Second? I'll second. Okay. All those in favor of me for vice chair for 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Great, moving on to the next item.
Well, we should really have the chair take over.
Oh, go ahead, Chair.
Yeah, I just thinking.
Yeah, it's gonna be a habit that's hard to break. Sorry about everybody.
Up to the tree board.
Yes, tree board calendar. At the last meeting, we talked about the fact that it would be helpful to have one so that we knew each month generally what we would cover. Do I need to think?
I think we can, if you can hear it, it's fine.
So Victor, you put this together. did
No,
you not?
Dana put this
Dana
one
put it
together.
together. I think it's very helpful. Does anyone have any comments or questions on it?
I would just say this is great. It's obviously flexible. If things need to change, things need to change, but it gives us a good blueprint for the year.
Keeps us on track. There's a lot that happens in January. And then our other big thing, of course, is our fest.
Now, are we gonna present the tree board report to council in February? Or are we gonna?
No,
we
no,
need-
it won't be, might be March, if you're ready for a March presentation.
Yeah, I think it would be.
So generally, though, we would present it in February?
We have in the past, but
Yeah, it's not, there's really no big set date.
Would it make sense then to move it to March or leave it at February on the
we
calendar?
could leave it and then it just floats, knowing that
Okay.
it's one of those two. Is
Yeah.
that good? I wonder if we might talk about the tree canopy schedule at the same time.
These are the possible tree canopy articles.
Yeah, and there's, I don't know if there's some on here as well.
They're in the,
Oh, just, yeah,
the
okay,
next page.
next page, yeah, okay. Go ahead.
So in March, the vegetation management plan.
Yeah, we just ran the one, tree canopy for January, right? So typically our next one would be March.
And that's gonna be the vegetation management plan.
Any thoughts, guys, and our little column in the paper? Maybe we can tell the community what we're doing about the city will manage trees on city property.
I think they should, they
Okay,
I think that's a good idea. It depends. I think part of it's gonna depend on when we end up doing Arbor Day. If it is, I think we are doing it in May, right? So
This
the,
plan, yeah.
so yeah, okay. We may have to want to do a April, instead of doing every other month. We might want to do an April article.
About Arbor Day.
About Arbor Day to get the, so we might want to do two articles, just in case. Or we can tie Arbor, we can mention it if the Parks is doing one in the Parks corner saying that there's an Arbor Day festival. The tree board will
Yeah.
have more information. Since it's a city.
would we probably do it later in the month anyway?
Yeah,
So if we
yes.
planned on having the Arbor Day article out the beginning of May.
I just want enough people to know of it ahead of time. So, because one of the things we talked about working on was communication about the event, so.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to remember that for Parks. Park.
Do people have other ideas for possible tree canopy articles? I
Well-
have one. I thought pruning based on the survey results too, and conversations we had that pruning, kind of the best time to do the pruning and kind of some tips on that might be helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Okay, so that would be July,
When is the best time to clean?
not July. but-
Well, it's,
don't.
I mean, have we talked about oak wilt in any of our articles yet? Because oak wilt, the time not to trim is April, mid-April to mid-July, so it might, so I think the season opens up again for oak wilt. For oak trimming, so I think it might be a good timing, actually.
It opens up like more like in November.
Well, the worst time to do it is April or July. Mid-April to mid-July is when they say not to do it.
Okay.
So it might be, so it's, I think it might be good if we could do a pruning one in July to talk about. I think it'd be helpful.
Okay, so are we saying July will be pruning?
I think it's a good idea.
Can we put a
And
little note
highlight
in there about reminder not to trim your?
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's a good idea that we could talk about, because April to July is the worst time.
So pruning and a reminder about oak wilt.
Another idea I had was perhaps best trees for our climate.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's been a recent article about that or
I think we did something that touched on it, but it was a while ago if we did.
I don't think we specifically said for climate. I mean, we've talked about trees to plant, but I think that's a narrow.
Or climate or our
Yeah,
zone.
yeah, so, yeah, I think that's a good idea too.
Or we could do native trees.
Bob, that's a question.
How about an article about the trees we don't like and why we don't like?
Yes, and that's actually
Trees
come up.
go void.
Yeah.
Why? I think that's actually important.
So what if we did that for September? What if we did trees that are good and trees that are bad?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Because that's typically when you plant them too, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's a
in the
good time to
fall.
plant.
Yeah, early fall or spring.
So the best and the worst trees.
Yeah,
Then we'll send Henry out to knock on people's doors and tell them that you have a tree we don't like.
I feel like there's a catchy title for the article.
Throw stuff at you.
For a change.
If the worst in trees, it was back to trees. I'll work on it.
Okay.
Anyone else have any suggestions for other article topics?
That's good for now. I think you can, if something else spins our,
Yeah, we just have one more
yeah.
about the tradition of Christmas trees.
I mean, I think we could tentatively do that. I just would wanna say, we have a whole like 7-8 months before November comes up. Who knows what we might think
Something else
of.
might come up.
Yeah. But tentatively, we could think about doing, I don't know if we've done this before, but spotlighting the people who donate the tree for the Christmas, and having them in the type of tree where they, I don't know, I just,
Yeah, that could be
I
a
like
little,
that idea.
yeah.
As
Yeah,
part of
it's
the history of
yeah.
Christmas trees, and
Yeah.
talk about donors.
the donors, yeah, I think,
You know, I hear that down there occasionally from people. When the fire department's down there, what kind of a tree is this? People, so maybe we could put a sign on it that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
yeah, so people don't know if it's a spruce or a fir.
So for some reason, they've liked it
Yeah.
and maybe want to get one, but they don't know what it is.
Good idea. So we'll put down flag just so maybe we remember it. I feel like I'm still running for Edie Carroll.
Well, no,
Oh, that's good. Okay, next thing that we have is the tree survey results.
okay, so I can go over those really quickly. You guys probably read through the results.
Yeah.
I didn't break them down by, like, I didn't select the townships and find everyone. Just because it's trees and people generally think the same. So, as you see, what people have most likely heard of. So most people have heard of the tree board and the Arbor Day Festival. When we get down to our tree canopy articles, our policies and our street tree plan. People really, you're talking about less than a third of the respondents knowing about those things. And to be fair, maybe they don't need to know all the details, nuances of policies and stuff. That's, most people don't, there's not a reason for them to do that. I do think though, the tree canopy articles, there could be a way to, that's showing that only about 1/4 of the people learned about our tree canopy articles or know about them. If that's how we're getting out information, we probably should try to find a way to
Beef it up.
beef it up, or, and what I haven't done is really advertise it too much on the website and social media. So I think that's something that I think I could do is,
Check out this month's tree
Yeah,
canopy article about blank. Yeah.
Because right now, we just put them in hard light. Is that
yeah,
right?
and I do sometimes put them on the website, but I just don't promote them, so.
I know that one thing I noticed with the last article is Charles used to do like a real nice, kind of a banner with trees across the top that made it pop. So I don't know if he just didn't have enough space this time, but maybe we could ask him if that would be possible.
And it could be that, I don't know what the readership is as far as percentage of people in this area that get the Harbor Light. That's why,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that may be reflective of.
Or maybe
percentage
a
that
link
actually have-
on Facebook or whatever to click on to see the article.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
So that's one thing. The other thing I noticed is the donate a tree program. Less than half of people know about that, and The donate a tree program, we haven't had people donate trees in a while. It's been probably a year and a half, two. And when I first started, the first 3-4 years here, people were donating a lot of trees. And so I think there's some opportunity here to push that program out more because only less than half the people know about it. And it's a good way to get your name on a plaque on City Hall, and then you have a tree in memory of someone. It's a good way for us to build up our inventory as well, so.
We haven't really beat the bushes on that one either,
No.
you know, like, I mean, we could.
Well, with the new
yeah, we could
fundraising,
Figure out what
the
to
new
do.
fundraising committee that's gonna be formed, they could help. With that's one of the things I envisioned them doing is helping
Yeah.
with programs and events.
That was good thought.
So. But that's what I know for that question. I know those two things. Again, the policies and the applications, street tree plan, that's normal. People not to know those kinds of things, which is fine. But the things we want them to know, the articles, the donate a tree program. I think we're doing pretty good with that many people know about the tree board, 70%, which is actually pretty good. It's probably one of the lesser attended boards, but for almost 3/4 of the people to have heard about it.
And Arbor Fest too, people know about it.
That's
We
good.
just need to get them to come.
Get into comment, yeah. All right, so the next question was, how important are the following reasons for planting trees and maintaining an urban canopy? So we wanted to know, what people really cared about when it came to trees, and why we should be planting trees or maintaining. And the first several were, except for aesthetics, were really all about, if you look at it, environmental benefits. Then we get down to the bottom is for economic development, safety, so more of the human things are kind of at the bottom, which are more least important. So, and these topics, erosion control down to economic development, these are all in our tree plan. So that's why I picked these specific, these are why trees are valuable. And trees do have an economic development benefit. Businesses that have more trees in front tend to attract more customers. There's reasons, and safety, et cetera. So there's reasons, but from the public's perception, what they really care about seems to be environmental reasons: erosion control, air quality, stormwater management, habitat, moderating weather. So I think that's important to know that that's what people think primarily of why we should be planting trees.
Aesthetics, human health.
Aesthetics and human health are up there, so health. So what you see at the bottom is community, recreation, property values, safety, and economic development.
I
So,
think they're just taking trees for granted.
yeah, but I mean, I think also there's two things you can glean from here. One of them is that, but the other is that maybe there's more in our articles that we could do canopy articles to talk about how trees help property values, how trees do relate to economic development. So maybe there's that aspect of it too, because
Yeah, I thought the survey was good for coming up with topics, and
Yeah.
I was thinking the same as you, Carol.
I was encouraged by how many took the survey. I mean, I thought 100,
140 something people.
140 people. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm just taking notes.
So the takeaway from that one probably is topics for our articles.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also though, it's another takeaway is when we do plant trees, like this is what the survey results, what people prioritize. So these are the things that are at the top that we should be considering when we do plant trees at this stage. We should be mostly looking at those environmental and human health factors and aesthetics. So those are what people really want to see. So that's something to consider. What type of information about trees would you be interested in learning more about? And interestingly, or not, as Carol had pointed out again, look at how to identify disease, dying trees, and pruning and selecting the right trees for your property were basically all right about the same amount of importance. Rules, and that was less than half of people cared about learning about the rules about tree planting. Then tree board activities and events, that was a little lower. So that also gives us more information, as Dana was saying, about topics and activities that we can do, and maybe even at our Arbor Day Fest, keep on focusing on these things: pruning trees, right types of trees, and disease dying trees.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to Arbor Fest, but I just think it would be nice if we could come up with a theme for this, year, like we had birds last year.
We can get to that, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Any other thoughts?
I think the other thing that it shows is that if we make it personal for the people, that these are the trees that you should consider putting in your yard, these are
Not
issues
just what the
to
city is
identify.
doing, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
that it, that more people may pay attention to it and find it useful.
A good observation.
All right, where should the city focus its efforts when it comes to trees? This one kind of was, I expected these results. So the first most important is maintain our current canopy, which is something we've stressed that should always take precedence, maintain what you have.
Yeah.
First and foremost, because if we don't, then it's gonna make more problems. So then the second thing was planting new trees. So, and that was, you know, obviously makes sense. If you can maintain what you have, then you can start thinking about what's next. Educating residents, that's quite a bit smaller, and then creating policies, the ordinance, that's absolutely, almost, I would say, an absolute no. And I think that's what we've noticed, that, you know, less focus from the tree board on activities about policies and ordinances and more on outreach and doing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I think that jives well with what the council has decided in the past on things. We do have some important tree rules that we did get in place, you know, can't intentionally take down trees on city property. We increased the punishment for that. We'd always see people just go on this right away and trim trees and be like, oh, I didn't know you couldn't do that. Well, so educating people that no, you can't, these are the city's trees, there's consequences. That was important, but I think this really tells that we need to invest into maintaining our canopy and planting trees. And then, okay, the last question, I have email, I didn't share them with you guys. I don't want to share people's private information on public packet, but we do have a list of 15 emails addresses for people that are willing to volunteer. So this would be great.
So the 15 were volunteers.
Yeah, well, we didn't, sorry, they didn't specify what, I haven't reached out to them, so they didn't specify what they filled out. But we will add them to the list and see if, when we do Arbor Day Fest, it'd be great.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the first thing I thought of, yeah, that's volunteers. That's easy and fun.
We had mentioned, in the article about the survey, we look forward to getting back to you with the results. Should we come up with some conclusions that we could tag on to the article, next article?
Well, that's a good idea. Someone just wants to summarize a few of the questions, main learning, main findings. Yeah. Yeah.
Just ask a general question, I'm kind of doing this. When this advisory board was founded, what was the estimated cost to do all of this pages of things?
Oh,
Assume that they estimated it. Don't have a board with them, don't give them any money.
well, the board, yeah, so that's a good question. The board itself doesn't have control of any money. So it's all stuff that council has to approve for any.
We're gonna pay for inventory on every tree down here in the swamp down the street.
We're not doing that. So the council decided not to go down that route. We're not doing the inventory. I think that's something the tree board has discussed.
Yeah, we took it off.
They actually, last year, council weighed the costs of doing an inventory versus using that money to maintain the planting trees, and they said not to do the inventory. So, it's a good question though. So what we do is we take each individual goal by goal and bring it to council. And if there's a financial expense related, then council will decide whether or not it's worth spending that money. Because there really is, an inventory can cost $10,000 or more to do. And so it was just not worth it.
You're lucky to do it for that.
Nowadays, it's probably more. Well, and that was another question. What trees do we want to inventory? Is it only ones on parks? Is it all the trees at Kiwanis in the forest, you know, or only the trees in the street, right in the right of way?
Do we have a map of the streets that are owned, streets are by easement for towns, so you know what trees are owned by the city and what are owned by the individual?
We do have a map for that. We also have from our past inventory, a map of the specific coordinates of each tree that has already been inventoried. So we do have that. Yeah. When Ben had someone else working for him, she was a GIS person and she actually had that visualize, but that's outdated now. It's probably at least a decade old. That, the inventory. Those are good questions, Tom. All right, any other questions about the survey? Carol? We're on 3.
The next thing is the vegetation management.
Oh,
No, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the project matrix. So this is the one based on all of our ratings last. month.
yep, I revised the project matrix and Dana just wanted to put it in there so we all have it to see it. It's on the website. This is the new project matrix based on your scores last time and elimination of certain goals and combining other goals together. So
This is about half the size it was. It's a
Yeah.
long time to go through that at the last meeting. So hopefully every year it'll get a little easier.
yeah,
I had a couple things to talk about on this. One is, once we've completed stuff, do we want to have another document that has all of our completed items on it?
Yes. Yeah, I think we mentioned that in the
So-
last meeting.
Could you do that, Victor? Or do you want me to do it? I probably have all the ones back from when we started doing this, like 4 years ago, or.
yeah, that would be helpful to do that.
Yeah.
Just given the fact that I might not be here for March meetings.
I think it'd just be fun to say, okay, these are all the things we've done relative to policy, this is what we've done relative.
It's important to keep track of what we've completed, otherwise it really is important, so I don't want to eliminate them, so I would want to see them some.
Exactly. I think last week there was someone in the audience and they said, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And we have to say, been done.
Yeah.
We have done. So,
Yes.
we just knew that we had done it. We,
Was it on the paper?
yeah, exactly.
So one thing we didn't talk about is whether there was anything new that we wanted to add to this. We just kind of looked at things that were already on here.
I think,
And
if you, actually, I want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Go first.
And I did have a few to add, like I would like to see an arboretum on here somewhere. And it may not be high priority right now, but we had talked about, we have all the trees that were started out here, all different varieties, that could be really fun if we're doing like a nature park out here at some point.
Or some
What
of
do
those,
people think about an arboretum? Be pretty low cost and it would help school children learn about trees.
A designated space, is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
like, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago, we did our planting project back behind the police station here. It could be like a little path that walks through and, we could have plaques on, these.
Flax on trees.
Trees, yeah.
We talked about that even one time, having flax on trees like down the boardwalk. When people walk down the boardwalk, there's a tree, oh, this is an oak tree, this is a
Yeah,
maple tree. So an arboretum type of is different than that, but something where people can actually educate and learn.
we don't have to say like for sure where it's going to be or for sure what it'll be about, but just as a concept, and maybe it's low priority right now because we've got other stuff to work
Well,
on, but
I would say let's put it on there and learn more about it,
okay.
so we can make a more informed decision about what it will look like. Yeah.
What category do you think that is? New trees
Um,
or outreach and education?
yeah,
It's a
I
little bit
think
of both.
community outreach. I think where I would, if anybody have other thoughts?
That makes sense.
Well, that makes sense.
And should we just say it's kind of medium priority right now that we have more important stuff to work on? Sound good to everybody?
what do you say, boss?
I am so lucky, I know it. Okay. And the next one I had on here is, we started talking about this last year, about the whole idea of reforestation and maybe trying to create a tiny forest. That kids could learn about how a forest is created. And that could even be part of the arboretum thing, but I really like the idea of looking into reforestation because, like in my neighborhood, we still have pockets of, like little forests. And it's just so nice to walk down those streets and see that. How do other people?
So how do you think we could introduce it?
Well,
Tried it once.
we tried it, but the school wasn't ready.
We didn't have a good spot on school property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We looked at school property, they didn't have a good spot. for
We
it.
looked at doing a tiny forest.
And what's the definition of that?
Well, there was this guy from Japan, Mirawaki or something like that, Victor, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, he came up with this concept, and you just densely plant, let's say, it could be like the size of this room or a quarter of the size of this room. Different tree species, and then it's kind of like a natural forest where they compete against each other for sunlight and nutrients, and then you end up with some trees that mature and grow big out of it.
And then it's also looked at it as a habitat, so you see what birds and critters move in
Yeah,
and what it supports.
I like the idea.
would that also be under,
It'll be upcoming outreach and education.
so what, should we just call it reforestation / tiny forest? Yeah. Do other people think that's a fun idea?
Yeah.
Do we
It'd be a
think
great project for the school to eventually get the school. to-
partner with the schools on it? Yeah. So what if we, should we say that's medium priority as well?
Yes.
Let's see, one more. Oh, we've talked about this just in passing a couple of times about, whether at some point the city might want to discuss an expanded role for tree board. Like right now, we deal with trees. But, you know, I think some of the more invasive species are actually shrubs. So we don't want to deal with every shrub in the city or anything like that, but, and maybe, you know, another angle could be like, we don't really have the environment under any board or commission now, right now, right, Victor?
The only board or commission that would tackle environment would be the planning commission. They would be responsible for example, like an environmental plan or something like that.
Do you think we could start with just focusing on some of the articles about invasive shrubs? Just kind of included in some of the tree canopy articles?
Your autumn olive is the biggest problem we have.
What is it?
Autumn olive,
Yeah, it is. It's very invasive and
I don't
some
know
that
what
are
it is.
surprising.
everywhere.
Yeah. It seeds in everywhere. The birds eat the fruit and then they
What I-
spread it.
What I think would need to happen is a presentation or some kind of pitch to council, even just a question to council, whether or not you want to take the tree board and create a different board out of it, like an environmental board, if that's what we want to do, to expand. That would, before we go down that route, that's what we need to have, is pitch the idea to council and see if council wants to revise the tree board purpose and make a new board out of it and make it the environmental or the
That could be a separate board. I don't know.
conservation, you know, a lot of.
Stormwater we send into the bay, like what are best practices for fertilizing?
so- When I worked in New England, both New Hampshire and Vermont, most towns had a conservation commission. And they dealt with trees, they dealt with conservation, habitat issues, environmental, those types of issues, natural environmental issues, not like, but yeah, so that's one route that I noticed that from my experience, towns do all sorts of different things. A lot of communities do have tree boards here, but bigger cities tend to have tree boards more so than smaller cities. And that's because bigger cities has hundreds of miles of roads that they need to look at for their trees, right? We have, you know, a dozen miles of road, you know, it's not the same. So that's why we sometimes have bleed in with other natural things. We talk about shrubs and the water. The water is a big thing here. So
Water quality.
I think you could definitely have a room for expansion. I just, you know, we do have a lot going on at the tree board too, so there's
So what
already a lot
if we
going
put it
on.
down here just as a future thing, low priority for now, but let's think more about it. Does that sound good? Would that be under policy?
Well, I think it would kind of, it's more like organizational would be the word, but it could be an outlier. Goal, other, you can make an other category for that. The Conservation Commission makes sense with this regard because then you're looking at the natural environment connected as a whole. When you're talking about the water, the habitat, the trees.
Soil quality, yeah.
Yeah, so we look at all that stuff.
A lot of sense.
Sometimes you can't talk about trees without talking about
Yeah.
water.
And when we're talking about invasive things, why leave out shrubs? You know, that doesn't make sense.
And I think our master plan also calls for some sort of environmental plan or something like that, so I think it's a good start.
Okay.
Going down that route. But I've been a stickler, as you know, Dan, I'd be like, all right, let's keep the tree board focused on tree board stuff we talk about. And that's from an organizational standpoint, we shouldn't veer off what we're assigned to do by council. And resolution, which is our ordinances say a tree board is for trees only.
I do see in the future though, where we could, work ourselves out of a job. Like, I mean, how many tree projects are there gonna be? We're gonna get the systems in place for, management and new trees and all that.
And you might also have more
Make it
interest
time.
in the tree board too. It won't be a conservation, like high school students, there's more to do. I mean, Henry, you probably can speak to that a little bit more, but trees are a very specific topic, but once you expand into more conservation stuff, you can get probably more involvement from people.
Yeah,
And then an Arbor Fest becomes one thing that the Conservation Commission does.
yeah.
It's a good idea.
Henry, are there environmental classes at school?
There's the environmental science, I think.
Yeah.
That one of the teachers
Okay.
teaches, but I don't know if there's like the regular sciences, but there's environmental science. I know that they go out and do stuff in the community sometimes. And go to the, I don't actually really
Yeah.
know, but I know they do stuff.
That's something, yeah.
I had one more, potential new item.
Well, and I just want to go off of that. It'd be great, the idea of a more of a conservation commission or environmental commission. We do a lot of things that, from the city perspective, that would be helpful to have the conservation commission board. That, for example, we did the whole rain garden out
Yeah.
that way, and that was a collaboration with the Watershed Council. We're doing we also trialing, robotics cleaning up the beach and cleaning up the water using
Yes.
those Bebop robots that are, and that is awesome for, conservation.
Alternate energy.
We're doing the traps in the sewers to monitor and trap particles. Like those are all things that we're working with the Watershed Council or others on that'd be great to have.
Kind of brought
Yeah,
together.
brought together. Yeah, I think so. All right, sorry, I just wanted to have that.
No, and then I just had one more idea for us. You guys saw the little presentation at the end of the pack about trees in a nutshell. I thought that was a cute play on words, right? That would help new members feel more comfortable out of the shoot. Carol's previewed it, and I guess you've all seen it now, but it got me thinking, like, for community outreach, do you think there would be any interest in us doing like a lecture series? We could get guest lecturers to come in, like from Bio Station, or to the NIT, or
Now are we branching out outside of trees again, doing this?
well, we could
Maybe
ask
guest
them to
lectures.
kind of focus on trees, but maybe, I don't know.
I think Kathy makes a good point. It'd be something to do good if we did expand to, 'cause then you could incorporate a lot more. into
That
it.
would make more sense.
So if we just did a lecture series about trees,
I don't think you'd get as much, but
interest, yeah.
I think if you made it more about conservation, environmental stuff at large and have specific topics, you might get more.
Should we put it under outreach though, just so we don't lose track of the idea?
Yeah, lecture series.
As some of you know, I'm on the garden club
Mhm.
board, and we started doing lunch and learns 3 years ago. And we offer it just to our members, but we have different speakers come in once a month, June, July, and August, and we've had really good feedback from people that they really have learned a lot, and we've tried to have very different
Yeah, so we
speakers.
could do something
each
like
time,
that.
but-
Lunch and learn,
And
yeah.
it's really the garden club one is very informal. It's right along the waterfront. It's a certain day, once a month. in the summer and you just show up if you want. You don't sign up, but we have speakers and it's been very well received.
And that's open to the public.
It is not,
Okay.
because what we worried about is then all of a sudden, instead of 25 people, we might have 100 people show up and then we don't have microphones. And
I was just feeling bad that I hadn't heard about it. I wasn't
No.
paying attention. Okay.
no, but you could come with a garden club member, but that's why
Okay,
we
fair enough.
haven't opened it
Yeah.
to everyone. But we typically get about 25 or 30 people at them and really good feedback. People have really enjoyed it. So I think the concept of a lecture series on specific topics could resonate.
Okay,
And we're always looking for new members there too. We have 109 right now.
great. Just one other thought on the project matrix. Do we pull anything out of here that we want to work on in 2025? Or we have enough going on?
I think
between
I think right now we have enough going on. I think, once things calm down, maybe after Otterfest, we can look back and see what
Yeah,
we have to do.
mid-years.
Yeah, mid-year. Yeah, we got a lot going on. All right. Bye.
All right, so the next one is vegetation management, high priority. Yep, discussion.
I'm assuming that you're making this something there. You guys haven't visited the properties this winter. Have you talked about it?
I did.
You did?
I have now got.
Yeah, I'm assuming you haven't done it.
I was thinking it's winter.
It's winter.
Especially if they have enough snow. You know, it's hard to gauge the view.
Yeah,
because the leaves are off the trees and you can't see what shape the ground is in because you can't see the ground.
Yeah, so for Bob, especially, we have this plan, vegetation management, so we're going to be creating a plan to how we manage vegetation on each of our different parcels or on the bluff, whatever it is, and we're trying to gauge, all right, are we gonna, do we want this area to have a view? Is that what's important, or is it important to have shade, or is it important to have whatever it is? So one of the things that we talked about at a previous meeting was going around different high priority parks or parcels of land to take a gauge of how we want to recommend managing the vegetation. So that's what we're talking about here. So I just don't think everyone's up to speed enough and hasn't visited the areas yet. We probably should circulate the high priority list again to the people. It was in the minutes, I think, or at least from the previous time.
Yeah, I would agree with Kathy, though, that part of it is because there's so much snow, it'd be really hard to even get close enough to some of them to make an
The
educated
judgment. Yeah,
judgment on it.
so we might want to push that one off.
Table that then.
Yeah, to probably the spring, maybe May or June.
But if you could, okay, and it's in the minutes from the last.
For
one,
the
so-
previous, I can send you the list, yeah,
Thank you.
So table until May.
May or June.
Just a couple notes on this. I did talk to Rachel and, she's, we're up for having a joint meeting with Parks and Tree Board. Because a lot of the high priority areas are in parks. And then I think when we go look at these areas, we need to think of, what the roles of trees there are, like. Do we want to emphasize the natural character? Do we want to emphasize views? Do we want to emphasize, slope stability? So,
On each of those.
yeah, like what, What is our overall vision or goal?
So Victor, when you send the list, do you think you could add a couple of those bullet points that Dana just talked about? So that we know what it is we're looking for in each of the properties that we go.
Yes, we can do that, yeah.
Thank you. Tree report to council.
That was this.
No, that's not it.
Oh, I thought that was this.
No, that is, what I put together as an introduction
Okay,
for, new members.
gotcha.
But we can look at it quickly. But tree report to council is good to talk about because in it, the way it stands right now, we were gonna ask for 10 trees. 5 for the vegetation management plan, 5 for the street trees. But do we want to do that? Are we ready to ask for trees for the vegetation management plan if we don't even know?
No, we're not.
Yeah. And then, you know, the 10 trees that council gave us from last year, haven't even gone in yet, so we ask for more trees.
I don't think we should, if we're not.
I guess we could go back later in the year too.
Yeah, we can always go back. There's
Yeah.
no set.
Where are the 10 from last year going? I recall.
We had identified our high priority areas, so there are various streets, I think, Ann Street was one, I don't remember exactly what the others were.
Yeah.
So we can give them a preview of what we might like to ask for later in the year.
Yep.
And then, Victor, I had mentioned this, like, if you or me or Carol or somebody would call like Charlevoix and Petoskey and ask how many trees they put in a year, I think it would just be a good reference point for council. I think Charlevoix actually is like 200 trees a year.
Wow.
It's insane.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
and
then
then I
put
guess
it
the
in
following
parks
question would
as
be,
well.
how do they fund it?
Yeah.
I think they do street trees a lot. I don't know where else they would go, but it'd be good to know, I think.
Well, that would be good to know. Obviously, they're bigger geographically, both.
Yeah,
Charlevoix and
yeah, so we
Petoskey.
could figure out like how many trees per
Square mile.
square mile or
Mhm.
something, yeah.
How much, I can ask them I mean, I think it'd be good to know how much they spend in general on tree maintenance, and I don't know if they have it divvied up that way in their budgets. Sometimes, for example, tree maintenance, if you're in the Parks Department, will just go under Parks budget, you know, as grounds, maintenance of grounds, so I don't know how Petoskey does it, I can ask them how they calculate that.
Yeah,
Might not be.
and
the same.
Charlevoix too, so I think Charlevoix's DPW director is actually an arborist.
I can ask Charlevoix.
Yeah, that's amazing. If they plant 200 trees a year.
Yeah. And I talked to Carrie Irish is their tree board chair over there, and I had talked to her last year and I said, so did you like do a plan to figure out where all of them go? She goes, no, I just drive around with the DPW director, and I said, let's put one here. It's very loosey goosey.
All right, yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
So then I'll just take that out, and then I think we would be ready for you to schedule us in March. Council.
Yeah, what March, when do you want to go, March 3rd or March? Mayor, when would you rather have a tree report to council, March 3rd or March 17th?
I mean, whenever they're ready.
I think we'd be ready either 17th. Oh, so the 3rd? 3rd?
All right,
Arbor Fest,
got some brief planning there, we agreed to do it, it's a Memorial Day weekend.
I think so.
Yep.
Should we get a date?
Yeah, I think that's the first thing we need to establish, and we talked about it last time, so let me just pull out. Memorial Day is May 26th,
So the 24th, maybe?
yeah.
what is Arbor Day is April?
Technically in April,
April,
yeah, and it's, for us, it's just too cold
Yep.
and
Yeah.
not good weather for Arbor Day Fest.
And then typically, have we done like, is it 11 to 1?
Yeah, usually we start at 11. The farmer's market's going on 9 to 1, usually.
That's
That's
probably
what
the first weekend, isn't it?
That-
For-
I
Farmers Market this year? It's
I think we looked this up before too, and I think it was.
I think it is Memorial Day. It's when they open.
Okay, so that's good. So we were hoping to, get more people.
So we will have a booth at farmer's market.
A booth or, if we're gonna be in Upper Zorn Park this year for our festival,
Uh-huh.
we're
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah, we-
Also, if we were there, maybe.
We could have a banner that just says Tree Harbor Fest or a sign that says Harbor Fest this way. So we want to do it at Upper Zorn Park. 11 to 1. Saturday.
Yeah, I think we
what
should
about
get-
tree
I mean,
planting?
We should get good crowd there.
Yeah.
Because if it is the opening day
Yeah.
of the farmer's market too, and we're right there. I think that's a great location.
I don't know, is there I don't think we are gonna do a tree planting at Zorn Park, so I think we have to skip the whole tree planting. We have to think about something else about how to what to tie in with the festival.
So last year our theme for Arbor Fest was birds, and I thought it was kind of good to have a theme. We had bird bingo, we had, well, Eric Hemingway talked about birds and trees.
He's always the hit.
Yeah.
Yes,
he's always
he does a
ahead.
great job.
So should we try and book him?
I mean, yeah, we should
Probably.
think about what he can speak to.
So let's talk about what some themes could be. Well, one of our articles is gonna be on selecting the right tree versus the wrong tree. I don't know how we would talk to that really. Tree health. I think that's a really boring theme for an Arbor Day thing.
You know, we could check with him too.
He might, yeah, he might.
Well,
yeah,
many stories
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so much local lore.
knowledge and where.
He might,
Mm-hmm.
he might.
Well, or we could do native trees, you know, like, he could talk about, you know, how they use birch bark and. It was really a stereotype, wasn't it?
Sounds like a good start.
Maybe
Could he
native
do a
trees.
slide, I mean, could we set it up so there's a slide presentation, you know, a big screen with slides or something?
We
During
could
the
do,
day,
we have a bunch of
hard to
easels, so we could do like posters, like poster boards.
Because I
We
think
could.
visually it would be helpful to get people to come over to the park too after the market, if they
Ooh.
see.
I'm hatching
easels
an
and
idea here.
pictures.
We could have poster boards and then we could like buy some young trees. We could have a lottery.
You gotta speak over this way too.
Yeah, a lottery, where people could win one of those native trees.
I like it.
Any ideas on that end of what we could do at Arbor Fest? What would the high school like to do? What would kids want to come down for?
Hot dogs?
Food. I don't.
Is there trees big enough? I mean, it was pretty funny, you know, when you get a whole lot of people, when Ben did the whole like climbing the tree, getting kids in harnesses to at Kiwanis Park. Do we have a big enough tree?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
I think we could get Ben back to do that, because I know a lot of younger people got harnessed up to, he would pull them up. How an arborist climbs a tree.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
No, that was a few years ago, yeah.
Amazing before they had these power lifts. Tree
Yeah.
monkeys, how they used to trim, Al and Jimmy's kid, they had real monkeys, they stand up.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what basically,
I think they still have to do that in some
Yeah.
cases, like where they can't get the big crane in. But would that, if we did that, would our topic maybe be more like, maintaining your trees?
I think it could be maintaining or planting. I think it could be tied in with the native trees that are the ones that we have the best shot of being successful based on our climate, soil and.
well, and sometimes it's hard to find a theme, because, I mean, if we just pick a few events that we know people will really want to come and learn. I mean, last year we tried a theme and it was okay, I mean, but I think sometimes if we just pick a few things that we think people are gonna wanna do and learn, and just, then we can think of a name of a theme afterwards, but let's figure out what it is we can and wanna do.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get Ben then, that would be
Yeah, Ben and
good.
Eric,
I know,
And Eric,
I know Mike, the library.
Oh, he was
guy
good, yeah.
is looking forward to doing that again, if we would have him
To read,
to read.
Mhm.
and you'd capture more kids by the farmer's market.
Yeah,
And they did like the bingo, because they liked
Yeah,
the Skittles.
Now traditionally, the mayor cooks the hot dogs at this. Would you be willing to do that?
Suppose,
You could get, yeah, we
it's
could
in
have
the
a
job
helper.
description, so.
I think Henry could pitch in on that. We have really good hot dogs too, not the cheap ones.
yeah. And we usually find the sponsors every year for this. Last year, I forget who it was, but we usually have
Wallstrom,
Wallstrom Marine was last year's sponsor. Before it was Johansson's and others, so we can, find
Yeah.
a sponsor for it. Again, so that's a good thing about this too, is it's basically no cost for the city.
what were we, how much did we get for sponsorship?
$500,
500?
yeah. Cover the food, cover the seedlings that we give away usually. And some of the other small things. So we can maybe think of sponsors too as well. We'll obviously have food, and this year, the problem we had last year, because we did it in the fall, was that we didn't have seedlings,
Yeah,
the cheap kind to give away. So if we can start looking at those saplings to,
Yeah,
I can have Ben look into that.
maybe ask him to look for something native if we do go that route.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember how many we got last year. I have it in my notes somewhere.
So 150, but all that,
Yeah.
the amount we could probably get a lot more if we're gonna be down by the farmer's market.
Yeah,
And get some of this cheaper ones, because that's what we're looking at is the cost, some saplings cost like $3 per one, other ones cost 75 cents to $1, so. We're
so
gonna,
would we try like 200?
well, I guess a couple of things we need to do is first, I can ask Ben, we probably need to get some sponsors, lined up if we have some ideas for sponsors and see how much money we can get from sponsors.
And then I thought the bingo was very popular. Should we try and find like a tree bingo?
Bingo. Mhm.
Yeah,
It's really, I mean, they like that.
Let me do that.
Sure.
I don't think we should do that. Like we had that fundraiser with the little birds last year. That was not successful. Good.
Anybody have other suggestions?
activities or crafts, something for the kids to do.
kids can
Yeah.
always find something to find, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
The one thing they did years ago, I was just looking at Ice Fest, is all that snow you haul them away like you do. They made huge mounds down the launching right there. And different families could pick it. So there was tunnels inside. Families would take this pile, that pile, they did it, but you could throw a family down there digging holes.
That sounds very fun.
Make it
It
big.
was half on the fellow. Bugs, so.
Today's in today's world, though, parents would be going, oh, that snow's dirty, or oh, the snow tunnel could collapse on my kid.
I
Tell
built
them
it.
to stay home.
Stay home, yeah.
Look into our insurance company, see what the liability is.
Yeah.
Abilities.
What if we did some type of like stick art? I can that and like maybe where we have the kids like make like a dream catcher. Oh, maybe Eric could help with that. You guys know what a dream catcher is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much.
I think it's, I don't know, it's supposed to catch your dreams, but it's made out of natural materials usually.
And then, yeah.
Or maybe Parks would help with that.
Collaborate.
I can ask Rachel.
Any other thoughts on Oktoberfest?
Let's see,
I think a scavenger hunt's a good idea.
that would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Especially if we could relate it trees. Somehow. You know, not.
So we'd have markers maybe at certain trees and then they have to
Something.
find those.
Oh, find a maple tree, find a, yeah.
Mhm.
Find a leaf, you know, we can pin leaves to the ground.
Mhm.
We don't
At
have-
different sites, so they
Yeah.
have to find them.
Yeah.
They used to do a lot of that.
Kids like that kind of thing.
And they get some sort of reward.
Do you wanna take the lead on that one?
Well, we'll think, yeah, we can think of ideas.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't hear me.
Yep.
So we will need- We're gonna need probably everything pretty much finalized at our April meeting. So let's come back with these ideas and narrow them down some more and then. You guys can talk around and see if there's sponsors, anyone, you know, the tree companies have sponsored in the past, but maybe, you know, Wallstrom did it last year, so maybe. You know,
Irish would do it.
and maybe we maybe we can open the opportunity to smaller sponsors, you know, we can have someone that's $100 sponsor, so sponsoring the whole thing.
Yeah.
We get more
I think
people,
that's a good idea.
yeah, you know, or you
I
can
do.
get, just say someone, hey, can someone's pay for the saplings and someone can pay for the food and. You can say food provided by so-and-so, trees provided by so-and-so. So if you have any ideas.
Does Graham Realty ever sponsor events?
I mean, it has most days, it seems like. Hard to believe how many charities there are around.
I know it. That's a good start anyways.
Any other
John-
ideas on Arborfest?
John Cups just recently told me how much money Cups Masonry gave away last year, and I didn't know what to say to him. I just went. Huh.
You didn't get your share?
Pardon?
Tell me, you didn't get your share?
Yeah,
You wanna take a quick look at that, trees in a nutshell presentation?
Very quickly, yes. So this is for new,
Board members or potential board members, we could post it on our website, just sort of a community outreach education thing.
Yeah, I found it to be, I had talked to Dan about it because having joined the tree board, I know more about flowers than I do trees, so this was really helpful to me, so I appreciate you putting it together.
I thought this was great, Janet, with all the pictures.
stand with this.
I have a couple of, editorial misspellings, whatever, but I can just
Okay.
do those.
Yeah, you can just give those. to
Yeah.
Dan.
And,
Dan, when you get a
the other comment I had was on page 34, there was a map. And I found it, too small to
Yeah,
see the, I could see. the
Our
map,
area,
but the,
Harbor Springs, Emmett County.
not the index, but
But the zones,
Oh, you're to the legend.
the legend, yeah. So if that could be bigger,
okay,
and the other picture is not as important as that map, so if the map could take up more space, but that was. Excuse me.
okay, and then why don't you, we'll talk.
Yeah, I'll just give you the other.
And do we wanna do anything else with this at this point in time?
You want me to put it on the website?
Sure.
Yeah, once you get the final copy.
If you could, that'd be great.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
really nice.
then- Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we, put in the back of our minds whether we wanna, well, I don't know, would we mention it like in a tree canopy article or something? I don't know, let's just think of how to use it.
Yeah, we could always use it more, but if it's on the website, it's a good place, especially for tree. When people are gonna be applying for the tree board, they're gonna look at the tree board page, you know, if they're gonna serve on, you know, or volunteers, and this is helpful. I'm sure it'd be helpful for future students that wanna, you know, get up to speed, if they wanna join it.
I like number 3, create a foundation for a public outreach effort to bring tree lovers together as a community. We got the Harbor Springs Tree Club.
exactly. Exactly.
Bird club, garden club.
Yeah.
Our 50 years next year.
So Victor, you didn't think we'd get through this?
No,
In an hour.
I was, my my odds were on 1:30, but.
How good, yeah.
Less than anything.
Finally,
Okay.
oil machine.
Anyone have anything else that they'd like to bring up today?
I have something, this is sort of random, I forgot about this. And it sort of ties into like when you were talking about the lectures. Well, this is, but next in March, Key Club is doing. They're gonna, like a showing of the Lorax at the Lyric.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And I don't know if people have heard of this yet. I don't know the date. It was like, it was at the beginning or maybe middle. And there's gonna be like people there talking about environmental issues, presenting, and then they show the movie and there's like free food and stuff, but I don't know if
Well, that's kind of
I just,
interesting,
I
yeah.
didn't know if we could connect that to this at all, but I just thought.
I'll have
Also,
someone show up at there and maybe talk about the tree board or.
yeah, potentially, or just tell you,
trees.
yeah, or just.
Would you
because-
like it promoted to the public or
What?
not?
Oh,
The event, showing of the Lorax.
oh, I think it will be
Okay,
like by whoever, but I also just to let you know, like,
Can you
First
find
grade.
some more info and email it?
yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Would you like to be the guy who stands up on the stage and talks about trees during that performance?
or not?
I don't know.
Or should it be some old fuddy duddy?
Think improper.
You know what?
Find out the date, cause I'd be willing to go or, but depends on when the baby's coming, so.
What is the date?
I need to check on that. It was like maybe March 13th, I think. But I can,
March.
I'll go talk to talk to them and send an email out with all the stuff.
Great.
And just for also if people can make it, because they want people from the community to go.
Mhm.
And there's, yeah, I'll go, I just remembered that, so.
So I've forgotten is the Lorax, a story about the environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's about trees and
It's all about
cutting them
trees.
down. So,
That's exactly what it's.
Well, Henry, you could do the presentation. Have it
Yeah, Thursday, March 13th at 6:30 PM.
March 13th at 6 P.M.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing else, the meeting's adjourned.